Hello, I'm delighted to introduce our long-standing relationship with Future First and our commitment to ensuring that this Black History Month, voices and stories from the Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities are heard, endorsed and celebrated.
So although they were supportive, neither of my parents had been to university, and so I really wasn't sure if it was for me. I was also very concerned about the cost. It was actually one of my A-level teachers that encouraged me to consider a career in the law. My first reaction was I'd never have the patience to read all those books. But she encouraged me further, and I went to the library and picked up a book on contract law. But then there was a challenge about getting into university. I went to a state school, and it was more difficult in those times. My mother used to say to me the whole time, aim higher than everyone else and you will achieve more. And that was great advice. Even after university, there was a challenge of securing a training contract. That was pretty daunting. I used to go to a lot of interviews and open days, and I'd be the only non-white face in a room. That really knocked my confidence. For a period, I tried to be someone who I wasn't, and it just didn't work. And so I decided to just be myself. I drew on my life experiences, particularly my jobs as a school kid, and developed those experiences into a way that would help me. Law firms want to be more diverse and are all looking for talent like you.
An obstacle I faced early on in my path to becoming a lawyer was the fact that I missed my A-level grades. That meant that I was rejected from both universities and I had to go through clearing, which was really stressful. So I ended up studying French at the University of Nottingham, which was in fact a university that had rejected me in the first place. All in all, this actually was a blessing in disguise because I had such a fun time at Nottingham. I got to study a wide range of subjects with French, so politics, history, art, philosophy, and I got to go on a year abroad to the French Caribbean, Martinique. Fast forward a couple of years and I'm now a lawyer at the BBC. I'm still facing challenges, and the main ones being the fact that I'm usually the only black woman or even person of colour in meetings. I suppose at the moment these are Zoom rooms as we're all working from home. But it's made sure that I find my voice and I'm using it to really contribute and discuss diversity and inclusion issues at the BBC and be part of that conversation to help drive it forward. So I'd say that actually obstacles and perceived failures can actually be opportunities and lead you down a path that you never thought you would go down.
I went through the process of going to the events put on by the Law Society and by the various law firms in the local area. And it was at those that I began to realise that my skill set potentially matched quite well with the skill set required to be a solicitor. But I have to say, as I was going through the process and I was in these professional spaces, I noticed that there weren't many people who looked like me or looked like members of my family in these professional spaces. With that kind of brings, potentially a lack of self-confidence, just the general feeling that you don't really belong there. And to be honest, you might even find that some people will say to you or to others that they don't think you belong there either. But as I've gone through the process and out the other side, I've realised that the exact opposite is true. All of your achievements to date and all of your future achievements are going to be on merit. So don't write yourself off because you didn't go to the right school or the right university, or you don't have the right work experience like you can see some of your peers might have potentially as an advantage over you, because you absolutely belong there in these spaces, as do I, as does anyone who's willing to put the work in to achieve their goal.
My journey into law wasn't the easiest, and I faced a lot of obstacles along the way. Now, coming from a background where both of my parents migrated from India and Africa to London in the 80s, they had instilled into me and my siblings more of an entrepreneurial spirit and an entrepreneurial drive. They had kind of always pushed us into helping out in the family business instead of going down the academics route. So that was actually really difficult because I had to juggle between the both from a really young age. So on the one hand, where I really wanted to kind of help my parents out and help out in the family business, but on the other hand, I also wanted to kind of follow my aspirations and dreams of becoming a lawyer and going to university. This was also really difficult because at school, I was kind of the only person from an ethnic minority background. And also kind of only 8 of us really ended up going to university at school as well. So, you know, the advice and the tips that I can give to anybody that's looking to make it in the industry is to keep persevering, remain positive, and to never give up.